Hi everybody, Ultra Healthy here. Welcome back and welcome to a pickups video. It's been a very long time since I did a pickups video. I went and had a look back at my channel and I discovered it's been a year since I've done one. So there's no way in the world I can introduce everything that I bought in the last year. So I've selected a few things that I thought were noteworthy. I'm gonna try not to ramble on too much about any one particular game. This video is going to be very heavy on Switch games because in the last year I bought a Nintendo Switch. And for those who are saying Ultra Healthy's sold out, he's finally gotten into new games, rest assured they are all 2D platformers or shooters. So there's no selling out here. Let's get straight into it. First of all, I do have, of course, both of the Bloodstained games. What were they? Curse of the Moon and Ritual of the Night. Obviously, these are must-haves, and there's not really a whole lot I can say about them. I think that hasn't already been said. One is a real, NES-style platforming game, and the other is basically, Symphony of the Night action-adventure, or Metroidvania, as they call them now. I haven't even really played Ritual of the Night hardly at all. I'm waiting for the patch that they're supposedly working on. Played the crap out of Curse of the Moon, so you guys probably know about these games. Got those. And I also have both of the Gunvolt games. Yes, that's right. I believe the first one is just a port of the 3DS games. But there's a brand new one, actually, Gunvolt Chronicle X. So I've actually only played them both just a very small amount of time. I can see that they're, very big tasks. They're large games. I have to choose carefully when I'm gonna put, tens of hours into a single game. So I haven't dug deep into them yet. So I can't really talk about the specifics. But obviously, they're amazing 2D action games. So I'm gonna get into both of these at some point. Next up, this was a pretty big one for me personally. It's Monster Boy. Obviously, someone who plays retro games as hardcore as I do is going to be really excited about Monster Boy. In the small chance you've never heard of it or don't know what's up with it, it's basically a new Wonder Boy game. Some of the Wonder Boy games were called Monster World, so they just put the two names together and made it into Monster Boy. Now, this was developed, I believe, mostly by a French team. After seeing the credits, I believe that it was mostly a French creation, but it was done with the blessing of the person who made the original Wonder Boy games. That's pretty deep. And actually, one of the original musicians did some of the music for it as well. So it's a full-on action RPG. It's not an action-adventure game. It's not a Metroidvania game. It's split into dungeons. And the quality is out of this universe. Everything, the artwork is beautiful. The music, it has a superstar sound team. Motoi Sakuraba, I think Yuzo Koshiro was in it. It's these really famous people. And it's a very good combination of action and puzzle solving. The dungeons are enormous and there's a whole lot to it. So I had an excellent time playing this. Next we have the Oniken and Odalis compilation, the physical Switch version. I had never played either one of these before buying this game. I don't play games on my PC, so I don't play anything through Steam, but they looked amazing. I had played Blazing Chrome, that came out on the Switch first. So when I saw that PlayAsia was making a physical version of this, I was like, yeah, I have to have those. And they're extraordinary games. Oniken is the first game that company made, Joy Masher, and it's just ridiculously hard at first. You learn it and you discover that there's a lot of memorization to it. Once you get it, you can kind of just run through it. But both of them are really good. Then Odalis is more like an action-adventure game where you kind of have to do a bit of searching and exploration. So these are totally awesome. And I just got the standard version. I didn't get the limited edition version with the soundtrack and all that stuff. I can't store an enormous box for every single game. And actually, I think I heard some of the soundtracks. I think a couple people uploaded them, the actual physical soundtrack that came with this, to YouTube, and the quality was not so good. The music itself is good. It's just the sound quality was questionable, but these are excellent games. Next is a very recent arrival, and it's one that I've been getting into quite a bit. It is River City Girls, the Asian version. I bought this from Play Asia because I missed out on the limited edition from Limited Run Games, and their business just annoys the living crap out of me. So I was just like, screw that, I'm gonna get the Asian version, however many months before the Limited Run Games ones gets printed. And so I've got this here. The packaging is in Chinese and English, but the game, just plays in whatever language you want. It works perfectly fine. It's wonderful. And it came with the soundtrack CD for free. So I got the game and physical soundtrack for $40. And it's the complete soundtrack, the 2-disc one, with everything looped twice properly. So this was perfect. This was wonderful. And River City Girls is really fun. I grew up with River City Ransom. I was playing that, when I was like 9 years old. It's really funny. Like, my mom wouldn't let me buy it because it was a little too violent, but she would let me borrow it from a friend for a little while. So, I have a lot of memories with that game. And River City Girls, despite being Western, does an excellent job of recreating it. I don't play a lot of beat-em-ups, but I really like the way that this one has kind of, I guess you could say the RPG elements where you level up and you have to do some exploration and, complete tasks, that sort of thing. So this is super nice. I'm very glad that I got the Asian version, actually. And the last Switch game for today is Freedom Planets. Finally got a physical version of this. Yeah, it's from Limited Run Games. What can you do? They're the ones who make them. So I got the standard edition from them. It did arrive safely. And I had never played Freedom Planet before this. I don't play games on my PC. I try to avoid digitals as much as possible. So this was my first time, and I can see why it's so loved. It's totally awesome. It's very similar to Sonic because it started out as a Sonic hack. And I guess that it just became such a big project that they wanted to make it its own thing. And I'm glad they did because it's amazing. The artwork is beautiful. The music is totally great. And, the gameplay is, it's Sonic inspired, but you don't have to memorize the entire thing kind of like you do in Sonic. The whole point of Sonic is going fast, but in the Sega Genesis Sonic games, at least, if you're going fast most of the times, you're just going to crash into an enemy. So it's a lot of memorization, and Freedom Planet's not like that. It's very fluid. So I've been enjoying this a lot too. Alright, let's move on. The next game is something that I've talked about a lot in other places on social media and stuff. So if you know me, you've probably already heard about it, but it's so awesome. I must show it off here. It's Tanzer for the Sega Genesis. In the unlikely chance somebody watching this doesn't know about Tanzer, please stop this video, go to the MegaCat Studios website and buy it right now because it is a revolution. Tanzer is an indie game made for the Sega Genesis, mostly by one person, this guy Michael Tillander, and it is everything I could possibly want from a Sega Genesis game. It's this side-scrolling kind of platformer hack and slash, but it's just so fluid, so atmospheric, just so creative. It's out of this universe. It's some of the most fun I've had playing a game all year and more ever almost. I absolutely love Tanzer. I try to tell everybody about it. So please check out Tanzer. And I do have another Sega Genesis game here, and this is not an indie game. It's not a homebrew. It's Earnest Evidence. Now, if you know about Earnest Evidence, you probably realize it's not a very good game. It's a problematic game. It was an interesting idea. It uses rag dolls basically in the Sega Genesis, which I'm sure was an ambitious thing to do. It just didn't work out very well. The thing is, it's made by Wolf Team, one of the Telenet companies, who I love. The music was done by Motoi Sakuraba. Obviously, it's extraordinary. And the cartridge version was not released in Japan. Actually, we only got the Sega CD version. So, Sega CD games, there's the issue of loading and getting an operational console. So I decided that I would get the North American cartridge version. And, it's a Sega Genesis game. it's kind of fun. It's nice to play. It's a little screwed up, but I am glad I have it. Now we're moving on to the Sega Master System. My last pickups video was a ton of Sega Master System games. I have gotten a couple more, a couple biggies. So first of all, let's look at Power Strike 2. This is the holy grail of Master System games. There's a very long story behind it. I would really like to do a full review video of Power Strike 2. Basically, it's a Japanese developed game that was not released in Japan. It's made by Compile. And the original Power Strike that was released, in the West, in Europe, and in a very limited way in North America, was a port of a Japanese game called Alesta. Now, there is an Alesta 2 in Japan for the MSX. However, Power Strike 2 is not a port of Alesta 2. It's an original game, an extremely good one that pushes the limits of the Master System far beyond what you would expect it can do. It's ridiculous how good it is. It was released in 1993, so there probably weren't a whole lot of copies. It was only released in Europe and Brazil. I guess it was released in Australia. You could say that's an original version. So it's very expensive to get, and I finally got one. There's a ton more I could say about Power Strike 2, but really, really, really happy to finally have it. And one more Master System game. This is probably, I think this is the most recent game I've gotten. This is Silver Valley. This is a homebrew on the Master System that a few people were kind enough to make physical carts of. So I ordered one from eBay. I recently discovered that there's quite a community of people kind of doing homebrew stuff on the Master System. And there's one person who is making these games that are like huge, or like as good as Master System games that came out while Sega was supporting it. And his masterpiece, I guess you could call it, is this game Silver Valley. It's a 2D platformer. It's huge. It has atmosphere. There's like a story to it. There's variety to the gameplay. It's hard as hell, but in a good way. And I cannot believe it's a homebrew made by one person. Like, this is the most awesome thing that I've found in a very long time. And I'm so thankful that somebody made physical carts of it. It's obviously just, an old Master System cart, with the original game taken out. There's probably a flash cart in there. And this case also is very clearly an old Master System case, and they've just slipped out the artwork slip. It was probably just a sports game, something like that. Who knows? But I'm so thankful because, I don't really play games on emulators. I like to play on real hardware, and it works perfectly on my Mega SG. So I've been playing this, and this is legendary. Please do check out Silver Valley. It's an amazing work of art. A couple other odd little things that I got. I got a Game Boy Advance game called Blender Brothers. I had this years and years ago when I was still living in America, when it was brand new. It is a Japanese developed game that was not released in Japan. It was only sold in North America. It's really, really good. It's a little easy, but it's nice. It has atmosphere, some really cool music. You're this kind of like dog looking character, and you gain abilities, or you gain these like friends with abilities, these little kind of like Esper things that follow you around. But it's just a really good time. It's nice, it controls smooth. Like I said, it's not very difficult, but it's a good time, and it's become a little rare now, and it was a game that I really enjoyed back, when I was in college. So I did pick it up again. I think this was sealed. This was unopened, and I think I made an offer for like $100 or something like that, and they gave it to me. So the box was like not completely in perfect condition, even though it was sealed. That happens, but it's fine. It's in good condition. So kind of nice to have that. And one more Game Boy Advance game. This is actually something a friend gave to me when they came and visited me here. This is a game based on Maya the Bee. I'm pretty sure this was a Europe exclusive. Definitely wasn't released in Japan. Don't think it was released in North America either. This is a platformer made by this company Shinen. I believe they made Iridian? Is that what it was? Like, their Game Boy Advance games are like super, like the way they take advantage of the technology is very impressive. Like the graphical tricks, there's like all kinds of parallax in this one. The music is really nice actually. This is, you know, a pretty easy game. I think it was geared towards children because it's based on Maya the Bee. But actually, I was watching Maya the Bee on Nickelodeon when I was a kid. I was, you know, in elementary school just around in those years when they were broadcasting it on TV. I think it was usually in the daytime and I could probably only watch it on days when I was sick or something like that. But I have really good memories of watching the cartoon of Maya the Bee. And yeah, my friend brought me this game. He had no idea that I had been watching that. He just really liked it. He wanted to show me this company, how well they were able to kind of like, you know, take advantage of the technology of the Game Boy Advance. So that's really cool. I really enjoyed that. And one thing on the PC Engine. I'm sure you guys know how much I love PC Engine games and TurboGrafx. The truth is, I have most of the games that I really want for the PC Engine already. There are a couple little things here and there, though, and the one game that I did manage to get was Bloody Wolf. Actually, this is also something I had on the TurboGrafx many years ago, you know, from when I was in high school. So I did finally get the Japanese version. The reason that I hadn't gotten the Japanese version yet is because the spine, the side of it, whatever coloring it is that they decided to use gets faded very easily. And it's really difficult to find copies of Bloody Wolf in Japan with anything visible at all on the side. Like, they get sun faded to just nothing, to almost white. So I wasn't expecting something perfect, and this one is definitely not perfect. But the title and, you know, the color around the HU card, the red, is still kind of visible. So I made a compromise, you could say, and I took this one. It's not so bad, actually. You know, the game and everything itself is perfectly fine. So did finally get Bloody Wolf. And finally, I'm going to show off a couple game soundtracks that I've got my hands on recently. You guys know I love game music so much, and since I'm in Japan, the OSTs are more easily available. So I got a couple really cool things. The first one is Steam Hearts. Yeah, finally got my hands on this. It does not come up a whole lot. It's not particularly expensive when it does appear, but there's not a lot of them. So I was actually expecting this to be the original PC98 versions, and it's not. I believe these are the PC Engine versions, so they're CD sound quality, actually. And I had no idea for the longest time how this CD had been released. And it turns out there was some kind of like reprint of Steam Hearts for the PC, like maybe a Windows version or something like that. And it came as like a set, and this was one of the bonuses, was the soundtrack CD. So there was no spine card or anything. This was an enclosure, actually, but people will sell it individually every once in a while. So I got this, you know, for like 30 bucks. Excellent music. I love these tracks. And, you know, I'm actually kind of glad that is the PC Engine versions. I had listened to the PC98 ones, and I really liked those, but these are really smooth. Actually, I truly enjoy these. So that's very cool. The very last thing for today is a soundtrack CD that I didn't know existed until it popped up and I managed to win it. It's the CD of Shining Wisdom on the Sega Saturn. Now, this is done by Takenouchi Motoaki, you know, this really famous musician. And much like Gun Griffin, I discovered that these have been highly upgraded and embellished a lot. And this CD is freaking awesome. These tracks kick ass. This is actually better than the Gun Griffin CD, to be honest. The Gun Griffin CD has like half really cool songs and the other half are just kind of like, you know, a little more ambient. These are like hardcore. Every single one is like super detailed. It's even better than I was expecting. Went up a little higher than I thought it would. I think I got it for like 55, probably like, you know, 5,500 yen, so like $55. But that was money well spent. Really glad I did that, because these turned out awesome. So that was pretty much everything I wanted to introduce in this video. Obviously, those are not all the games that I bought in the past year, but those were the ones that I thought it would be fun to talk about. I don't really like to do a whole lot of pickups videos, to be honest, but once or twice a year it is kind of fun. So thank you very much for checking out the video. If you have any opinions or thoughts on the games that I talked about today, please do tell me about them in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.